All right. Make sure this thing is set to good to go. Meet me here. And let's start the recording. All right, everybody, we are ready to freaking rock and roll. We have a brand new balanced data slate. I gotta be honest with you, it's pretty freaking awesome. A lot of things changed. Interestingly enough, not as much changed from our previous balanced data slates. We didn't get nearly as many like rules updates and rules changes like we were kind of used to. Instead, now this is just a lot of points and a lot of I guess you had new detachments that were released. There are a few changes for army specific rules, but no core rules that were changed. But we did get the brand new chapter approved. So I think it's fine that this is a lighter change on like the overall rules because honestly, there's enough changes that are happening to the game right now without them. So I'm gonna break everyone down through these. I would love to hear from you guys. What are the things that y'all are freaking excited about? Because there's a lot that I'm freaking excited about. I'm looking at Psycho Eddie in the chat. I know what he's excited about. I'm looking at Mass Brofect in the chat. I know what he's excited about. I see all you guys, and I'm pretty pumped up for it. So basically, let's just go through this first part of it. This first part actually is pretty fast. I'm going to run through the balanced status slate, what most of these changes mean for the game. Then I'm going to run through points. And if we have time, we'll take a quick look at some of the new chapter approved stuff as well. I'm not going to get through the new detachments in this stream. I'll have to do those on a later stream, and but we'll freaking get it. Vagrant's in the chat, and he said, "Whoa, the lion." So if you guys haven't seen the lion, by the way, yeah, freaking whoa, the lion. The lion's the freaking man right now. He's Chad, and if the lion's pretty freaking awesome. All right, so let's break this bad boy down. Like I said, no core rules have really changed. You still have the limitation of your 12-inch loan-up strats, turn at 18 loan-inch straps. Your freaking armor contempt style strats only work for the activation, not for the phase anymore. All of that is the stuff. There were some rumors that people were throwing around, which were all fake. They were saying you had to pass leadership tests in order to use your free strats and stuff. All that stuff is nonsense, which is why I ignore rumors for the most part. So there were no real core differences, rules changes in the actual balanced stat slate. So let's start looking at some of the faction rules that have changed. So Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Sororitas, get our very first one. With the Champions of Faith detachment, specifically, it says in your command phase, you get to select up to 3 Adeptus Sororitas units from your army, and until the start of your next command phase, they are righteous. I believe it used to be just 2, if I'm not mistaken, and that's like the big difference for that one. But they did get a interesting like kind of rules buff on one of the units here. So Retributors, when they make ranged attacks, they get to reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1, which is better than just wound rolls of 1. But if they're targeting a unit that has previously destroyed a Adeptus Assault unit, then they get to add 1 to the hit and 1 to the wound roll, which is actually a very, very dramatic difference when it comes to causing damage, especially when you consider the fact that these Retributor girls can have like Strength 6 Flamers or they can have Meltas. So that's a huge break point in the amount of like how easy it is to actually wound your opponent and makes a very, very big difference. Your Zephyrim are also getting both sustained and lethal when they charge, and they get to choose either sustained or lethal when they don't charge in the fight phase, which is a pretty cool thing. Now, your Adeptus Custodes did not actually get like that big a change. It didn't really. Nothing really mattered too much for the Adeptus Custodes as far as this. We did get a pretty cool points drop, but we'll get into that in a little bit, which is interesting to me because I'm not really sure where Custodes are in the meta right now. What do you guys think? Like, what is the actual job of Custodes in the current meta? I'm not really sure where they are. With some of the points drops that they got, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it does put them in kind of this interesting place, but it's also, I'm just not really sure how to think about Custodes right now. Adeptus Mechanicus, they got a few interesting little changes here. One of the big deals is most of this stuff just doesn't make too much of a difference, but now that your Cybernetica Datasmith and your Castellan robots do, in fact, get your doctrines, which means robots, they might be playable now. I think it stacks with a points drop on the robots, which is pretty dang interesting to me. I think that's actually a pretty cool concept that we actually get to see some freaking robots. Oh my goodness, we've got Mass Brofect, who is the constant legend. Bro, I love you. I'm going to name my child after you. With a $100 super chat, you are a legend, and we freaking appreciate you more than you can say. Yeah, bro, I'm always happy to read changes to you so you don't have to read them yourself. That's what I'm here for. All right, cool. So Adeptus Mechanicus, they actually do get the keyword on the robots, which is cool. I actually think that is going to make kind of a relatively big difference for them.
to see if they can actually be played. Now, the one that everyone was really, really hoping for, this is Eldari. I was terrified, mind you. I was really afraid that Games Workshop was going to over-nerf Eldar, and I can pretty much happily say I don't think they over-nerfed him at all. As a matter of fact, they got some points buffs. They got a few points nerfs, but they also got some points buffs. Inari itself has been beat into the earth, which is where it belongs. It doesn't belong to be soaring. It doesn't deserve to be enjoying life. Inari has been beat into dust. But the rest of the Codex Eldar is actually, I think, in a fantastic place. And I think Games Workshop, for once, did basically have got Eldar balance, which is pretty freaking sick when you really, really think about it. So basically, here's the big change that they did to the Inari. The lethal intent, which used to be the ability that if you killed a unit in the shooting phase, anything in their army just got to do a normal move. Could have been a wave serpent, moving 21 inches. Could have been anything. It was stupid. Anyway, that has now been significantly nerfed to only a Inari infantry or an Inari mounted unit gets to do the lethal gets to do the move at the end of your shooting phase, and it has to have been within 6 inches of the destroyed unit. And the normal move is only d6 plus 1. So it's actually only just a really good ability and not a completely bonkers busted ability. So actually, it's still going to allow Inari to be playable. It was a good nerf. I think this is totally reasonable. And it only affects the detachment that needed it affected, which is cool. If Rain herself got nerfed, so she will now give reroll wound rolls of 1 and not full wound rerolls to units that are engaged with her, which is probably fine. And so those are the 2 rules nerfs for Eldar, and we'll get to their points in just a little bit. So I think these are just amazing, amazing changes. It didn't affect Eldar as a codex, because Eldar as a codex is actually really fair and really balanced, which is pretty freaking cool to me. As a matter of fact, I'm really excited to see some of the new stuff coming out of the Eldar. I'm reading chat here for a moment. And we got Gorthal here saying, why did they change the Wagon? They didn't, bro. I think you may have just missed the change for the last change. Pink Gorilla says, you got a beautiful family. Thanks, man. I do have a beautiful family. I got a gorgeous wife who's like a freaking 9, and I'm like over here being a 5 with my bald spot. So I'm a blessed man. And we got a little child who's screaming wah every single day, which is pretty freaking sick. I love it. So anyway, Eldar is looking super solid. I like it. Astro Militarum got a few changes. I think this is cool. Now Lord Leonta Solar actually can order Titanic units. And if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me please if I'm mistaken, but this is going to allow us to actually give orders to our Baneblades, because Baneblades need to be seen on the tabletop. I want to see Baneblade and Baneblade variants on the tabletop. So this is actually going to be able to allow them to get orders which can enable them. I am very happy for this. I don't know how much this is actually going to change the meta or whatever, but it's going to let guard players use their massive tanks, and that's cool. Like, guard players should be able to use their massive tanks and just have a blast. So I do love that. I'm very excited about that. It's pretty freaking cool. Black Templars, they got no rules changes, but they did get points changes, and thank goodness it's time that they got a few points changes. When we look at Blood Angels got a fairly significant rules change. I don't really think this significant rule change actually changes things yet, but in the future, it's going to be very, very impactful. So for right now, the Black Rage ability is going to say, each time this model makes a melee attack, you could reroll the hit roll. While this model's unit is not within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly Blood Angels characters models, or 12 inches of 1 or more friendly Chaplain models, it cannot be selected to fallback, and its OC is changed to 0. Now, this is a huge change, because previously, you would have like your Death Company characters, like the captains, for example, but they would lead a unit that had OC 0 and couldn't fall back if they weren't within range of a freaking Chaplain. And that sucks. So now they're going to get OC when they're led by characters, which actually makes your Death Company more usable. It's going to be coupled with a points cut, with a points buff, which was good. I don't think it was enough of a points buff, but we'll talk about that when we get it. So this will be impactful, I think, in like the next balance Dataslate when they fix the Death Company detachment, which is still awful. Chaos Knights, no real changes. This is not surprising at all, because Chaos Knights are about to get a brand new codex, which is looking fire, by the way. If you guys like Chaos Knights, let me know, because I think those things are looking absolutely freaking fire. Chaos Demons, the rules are exactly the same so far. Totally cool. The Scintillating Legion did get their Pyrogenesis stratagem knocked down to 1 CP, which is great, I guess. That's fun. And besides that, I think that's basically it. Now, Chaos Space Marines received a slew of changes. I actually adore all of the changes they gave to our Chaos Space Marines. I think if you're a Chaos Space Marine player, Rune, if you're in the chat, I'm talking to you. It's finally time for you to be happy about Chaos Space Marines. So you don't need to run just triple ACDC. There's a lot of ways to do Chaos Space Marines, and they actually changed some of the key units that just I don't think they could have been fixed with points alone. So this is actually a really good change. So the first thing, all of the Demon Princes in your Chaos Space Marines now all get the loan up within 3 inches of Heretic Astartes infantry, which is great because this puts your Demon Princes for Chaos Space Marine on par with the Demon Princes that are now for the Emperor's Children, the Death Guard, and the World Eaters, which is cool. So Demon Princes are actually quite usable now in Heretic Astartes as well. I love it. Now the Disco Lord, or the Lord Discordance, who is a terror in 9th edition, also gets some cool little buffs. So we're going to change his movement to 14 inches, which makes him actually very fast. And his invulnerable save is now to 4 from the 5, which is very, very, very significant. He's also able to do some more mortals to monsters and vehicles, which is cool. So it's in the shooting phase within 12 inches. You get to roll a d6. On a 2 through 3, it's d3 mortal wounds. On a 4 to 5, it's 3. And on a 6, it's d3 plus 3 mortals. It's cool. It's not amazing, but it's a cool ability. In addition to that, they can give reroll wound rolls of 1, which is pretty darn cool. Now, he also got even a glow up on his weapon. 5 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, damage 3, so his weapon's also a lot better too. So there's just a lot of changes for this guy where Disco Lords might be real, and I'm pretty freaking pumped up about it. So I like the Disco Lord. If you're a Disco Lord fan, I'm happy for you because I think this guy is going to have fly. Now, he's interesting at minimum. At minimum, he's interesting now. Then we've got Vastor. Vastor got a huge glow up, which is cool because I cannot remember a time since Vastor has been released where he was actually even remotely usable. So now this is a big difference. So he gets the Demon Prince ability. Basically, he's going to get a 3-inch loan up as long as he's within 3 of a vehicle. He also has the ability Reorder Reality. So each time an enemy unit within 18 inches of this model targets this model, so if you target him within 18 inches, you're -1 to the hit roll, and you have hazards on your weapons. That's pretty darn cool. And this is for ranged weapons. You get hazards. So that's actually pretty darn neat. It used to only affect like vehicles, and it was pretty darn limited. So now that's actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. In addition to that, he gets to add 2 to the strength characteristic of weapons equipped by vehicles within 6 inches of him, which is really darn strong. Can you think like freaking Venom Crawlers? Let's say you're running Venom Crawlers in Renegade Raiders, or running Venom Crawlers even in like the Soulbound detachment. Dude, that's going to be a lot of damage because that's taking their weapon. I think their weapon is strength 6. It's going to take from strength 6 to strength 8, and they can get +1 to. That's a big darn deal. I think it's pretty slick. He also got devastating wounds on his sweep. He got extra attacks. He got extra AP, extra damage. Vastor is looking sexy now. I think Vastor is pretty much a Chad, and if we don't see him, everyone's wrong. Like he's great. Like this is really good. Hopefully this is enough to make Soulforge really, really solid now. I'm actually really interested to see how people build that out. Dark Angels. Now, if you're a Dark Angel fan, something happened. A couple of things happened. One, you got a detachment, which I can't go over the detachment in this particular video, but we will get to it. But another thing that really happened is Lionel Johnson got a heck of a freaking glow up. So now his abilities have changed. He's got Mist Wreath Shadow Realms, which gives him Uppy Downy. Uppy Downy on a Fight First Deep Strike Lone Up 3-up invulnerable save model is bonkers. So this gave him a Uppy Downy ability, which is freaking amazing, and I love it. And if you don't love it, darn it, you should. You should love it. You just should love it. And then you've got Martial Exemplar, which is a 6-inch aura of reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Now, it only applies to melee attacks, but that's a big darn glow up because it's a really big deal for a lot of the melee units in the game. That's not bad at all. And then lastly, he's got his Emperor's Shield ability, so it's no longer like bouncing mortals back at you on 6s to save, but it does give him -1 to be wounded if your strength is higher than his toughness. Awesome. Big dang deal. I actually really, really like that a lot. It's going to help give him protection against those freaking las cannons and stuff. He still does have some weaknesses, as he should. Every model should have weaknesses, but holy crap. I think the Lionel Johnson has gone from like a very, very niche thing to a very strong argument to include him in all of your Dark Angels lists, which is sick. So that's just freaking sick. I love it. I'm really happy for Dark Angels players. Drukhari. They did buff the Reaper's Wager detachment roll just a wee bit. So now when you're winning the wager, you get to reroll hit rolls of 1. But if you're losing the wager, you get to reroll hit rolls of 1 and win rolls of 1. If you don't know what that means you're not a Drukhari player, and it doesn't matter. It does kind of buff the detachment. It's not a crazy difference, but it's nice that they gave them something. All right, Emperor's Children got no changes. Not here. Emperor's Children got a lot of changes, which we'll get to, I promise. Gene Stealer Cults. Looking solid, no changes, but no changes really necessary. They were in a pretty dang good place. Grey Knights. Each time a model in a Grey Knights unit from your army makes a ranged attack that targets a visible target or makes a melee attack, reroll hit roll of 1. If that target is a Purifier Squad, blah, 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 blah. I don't actually think that changes anything. Does that actually change anything? Maybe I think that's just a clarification because I think you got to reroll the hit rolls anyway. I think that might just be a clarification of the way the sentence was structured. If I'm wrong, someone type down and let me know, but I'm pretty sure that was just like a rules clarification. Other than that, they're fine. Imperial Agents, no real changes. Leagues of Votann, all the basically add-on models like the ECOGs and stuff are now OC0, which that's reasonable. That's cool. Necrons, no changes. Orcs got to change. Now, if you're an Orc player, you're not particularly happy with this data slate. Not because orcs are bad now. Orcs are not bad now. If anyone's telling you that orcs are dead, you're completely wrong. Orcs are absolutely not dead. But the changes that orcs got basically kind of shoehorned us into only playing Warhorde. For me, that's fine because I'm a Warhorde player. If you're not a Warhorde player and you were really enjoying your tactical, you're really enjoying some of these other things, it basically just said play Warhorde nerd, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. Now, they tried to fix Cult of Speed, but they didn't. So Cult of Speed says Freed Freaks units from your armies are eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which they advance or fell back. Problem is, basically all of your Speed Freak units don't want to charge because they all suck. And they all hit on 5s in shooting, so it doesn't really matter about getting to just shoot when they advanced. And all the buggies are massive. Even though the buggies did get points differences, which we'll see, I don't think it's going to give Cult of Speed any play, to be honest with you. Besides that, they did go ahead and make sure that the change for squig bombs are standard. So all units that have squig bombs all need visibility within 3, and it's on a 3-up now, which is good. So okay, that's fine. That's no big deal. So orcs overall, I think they definitely lost a little bit of steam in this balanced data slate. But the reality is, as long as you're a Warhorde player, it's going to affect you approximately 0. So if you're not a Warhorde player, it's probably fair to be sad. Space Marines. Changes that they got. The changes were sparing, but interesting, and I think impactful. So Marnius Calgar, he only gives you CP if he's the Warlord. What this functionally means is that you're not going to be running him and Guilliman. Or you are running him and Guilliman, but you're not going to get the bonus CP from Calgar, which is going to mean that Gladius players don't get 30 CP over the course of the game. Thank you, Games Workshop. That was just ludicrous, and it was very frustrating when they just infinite CP. So that was changed. Marnius also went down a few points to compensate for that. And then Guilliman also changed a little bit. So now his once per battle round, he gets to give for free CP instead of every single turn. Once again, limiting the ungodly amount of free CP that Gladius was having, which was very exhausting to play against. He also went down a few points, which I don't think he needed to, but whatever. He went down a few points to compensate for that. All right, Space Wolves, no change because Champions of Rustus. We're about to get a new Space Wolves Codex. And how do you guys feel about the Space Wolves Codex? Because honestly, I think the Space Wolf Codex is pretty sick. I got to be honest. I think I like the Space Wolf Codex a lot. I know I was listening to Art of War, and they were trying to say that the Saga of the Beast Slayer is just not good enough, and the detachments. I love those guys. I think they're smart. I think they're great at the play. I think I completely disagree with their takes. I think we're absolutely going to see some of the Space Wolves Codex detachments used. It's not just going to be Gladius and freaking Stormlance. Those detachments that they have in their book are freaking cool. They've got what you need. I think we'll absolutely be able to see them. Tau got a new change. I'm not going to read all the text. I'll just summarize it for you. Basically, now the guided units will also get benefits. So it's basically just going to like make it easier to use their detachment rule and less arduous, which is cool. That's good. They also got a few buffs to some of their enhancements, which is nice. Using enhancements is always good. I think this is actually a relatively good way to buff Tau. Just make it a little bit easier to use their rules. Because the thing is, Tau is in that weird spot where all of their stuff is good. Like, I personally can't quite figure out why they're not succeeding in tournaments. They have all the tools they need. I think this was a good approach to it. They're just simplifying things, taking away a few of the small restrictions, and they're going to see if that's enough to push them over the edge, because they are cheap enough, they hit hard enough, they're fast enough, they have the tools they need. It might just be a little too complicated to set their stuff up. So hopefully this is going to be what gives Tau what they need to be on par with your other armies. I think it was a pretty good play. Some of the enhancements got a little bit better, but really their detachment rule got much better. Yeah. All right, cool. So Tyrannids got a few changes. One of those big changes, which is a very big one, they got the same change as Guilliman. So now they don't get free CP every turn. They get free CP once per battle round, just like every other free CP generation in the game, which people are going to cry about, but trust me, you got a bunch of other really, really good things. So the Psychophage got infinitely better. He got +2 to his movement. He got the smoke keyword, which is hilarious. And his ability is whenever he hits something, everything else in the army is going to get +1 to the armor, +1 to AP against that, which is really, really strong, especially when you would stack that with something like, a Pyrovore stripping cover. So you can get +1 to AP for your entire army and ignore cover after you hit it with the Pyrophage, which is actually really, really strong. Then in addition to that, he has even better melee now. So his melee went to 6 attacks and AP 2. Okay. Now I think Psychophages have a freaking place. This is pretty dang cool. And then no changes for Warriors. All right, so this is the balanced Dataslate. Interested to hear people's takes on it. What do you think about the balanced Dataslate? This is definitely a lighter balanced Dataslate. Did they change the Canis rule? Oh, that's a good question. Did they change the Canis rule? Let me look for Imperial Knights. I didn't see it. Tau, Space Wolves. That is actually a really interesting choice. So the question was, did they change the Canis Rex rule for generating CP? They did not. No change to that. So Canis Rex still gets to do 1 per turn because he's a Chad. That's probably going to be changed in the Codex, though, because the Codex is going to be pretty soon. But so basically, the balanced Dataslate was lower on dramatic ways to change the game. No change to the way Armor Attempt or things like this worked. But it was still profound, and I think it was a very, very good attempt to balance some of these armies out. Let's go ahead and switch over. We're going to go to points, because this is where the real squeeze is in the big changes here. So let's go on over to our points. Field manual. First one we're going to look at is this Adeptus Sororitas. So the Castigator went down. I don't see why. Castigators are awesome, but that's okay. Castigator went down. 160. I think Sisters did need some love. So honestly, take what I'm saying here like the way I mean it, and if I sound like a salty bear, it's not real. Sisters did need a little bit of love, so I'm glad they're getting a little bit of love. I'm not certain I agree with the things that did go down, but it's okay that they got some love. I'm really happy to see the Repentia going down by 10 points. That's good. They needed to. They were just too expensive. Warsuits and Castigators going down, I think, is probably the wrong ones to go down, but they needed points, so whatever. That's where they get the points. That's where they get them. Seraphim went down by 5 and 10, respectively, and the Triumph from St. Catherine went down by 15 points. This makes a lot of sense to me, because since the Triumph has been completely changed in a lot of the since the Triumph has been changed a lot in so many of these balanced Dataslates, their abilities are consistently getting nerfed, then it needed some points cost, so it went down. Someone just said Nurglings have a 5-up invuln. Is that right? Did I miss that? Where did they get a 5-up invuln? I didn't see that. Let's see, Chaos Demons? Chaos Demons, blah, 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 blah. Where are you seeing Nurglings got a 5-up invuln? Yeah, I don't see that at all, bro. So I Lost Lane said that Nurglings have a 5-up invuln and said it's big. I don't know. I don't see it. Okay, but let's go back to points. So Wretch Peters went down a little bit. So Sisters got a variety of points drops. I think this is really good. Sisters are already in a relatively decent spot. They just needed a little bit more to push them over the edge to bring some of the top players back to them. And I think we're going to start seeing that now, which is really, really cool. So I'm happy for them. Now, Adeptus Custodes got one change. And that one change, I don't know if it's really going to make that big a difference, but it might make some possible list combinations quite good. So Alaris Custodes, which are the Terminators for Custodes, went down by 5 points. Great. I think they should have gone down by 10 points a model, especially when you're looking at 46 point freaking Death Guard, Death Shroud Terminators, which didn't change, mind you. But anyway, this is cool. It's a nice little boost to the Custodians. It's making our Alaris Custodians a little bit more functional, a little bit more bringable, which I think is cool because I am an Alaris king. I freaking love my Alaris. I want to run 18 Alaris. I just really, really, really want to do it. All right. Check the index change. Oh, so I Lost Lane. He's saying that the Nurglings is going to be in the index chain. Cool. Thanks, buddy. So I won't get to the index changes in this stream just because I have coaching calls I got to hop on. But I will be back and I'll be going over those changes too. Thanks so much for letting me know, I Lost Lane. I appreciate you giving me the heads up. Cool. Then the Deptus Mechanicus, they did get a few changes. Scorpius Disintegrator went down. That's their battle tank. They got the Dragoons with Taser Lances went down. And the Iron Strider Ballistari. These are the Las Cannon chickens. All the chickens went down, and so did the Scorpius Disintegrator. I don't think this is going to make any real change to the way that you're building out your AdMech, but maybe it does somehow, somewhere. So, bless. Maybe if they needed an extra 5 points here or there, they can get it, which is cool. I think AdMech is in a good place. I'm probably one of the few streamers or YouTubers who thinks that, but then again, I play with a really good AdMech player on the reg, so maybe I'm biased. I also got smashed by AdMech this past weekend. Well, I'm not smashed, but I lost one. Different story for another time. The guy played really, really well, and I screwed up. All right, Aldari. Let's get to some of the changes for the Aldari for the points. So first off, we got the change for all the rules, which is Inari was heavily nerfed, which is good. Inari was not destroyed, though, which is also important to keep in mind. They also still have amazing strats, still have amazing other capabilities. But here are the points for our Eldar. Autarch goes up by 10 points. I think that's good. Autarchs are very, very strong. Fire Dragons, a 5-man squad, went up by 10 points. Totally reasonable. Those things are insane. They can split fire 3 ways and kill 3 transports. That's bonkers. Fire Prism goes down by 10 points. I actually don't really know what a Fire Prism does right now. But that probably means that it's probably needs to go down by a few points. Howling Banshees went up by 5. Totally reasonable. Banshees are super, super cheap. And it is reasonable in the context that we have other things that went down. So, for example, these Shining Spears went down. I think Shining Spears are amazing. And now that they went down in cost, they have that flat 3 damage on the charge that they can ignore basically all terrain with. I think Shining Spears are a very real unit, and I'm excited to see people running them. They are a very, very real option. I like it. And the Wormwalkers went down. I like this as well. 1 model goes down by 10, and 2 models goes down by 20. That's a big deal. The Warlock Conclave stayed the same for 2 models, but for 4 models, it went up, which is also very reasonable. So these points cost that the Eldar went through is just shuffling stuff, which is good, because Eldar are actually very fairly costed overall. Inari was just over-tooled with their freaking rules. So all very cool. I like it. It's pretty freaking happy. Yeah. Then let's go on down for more Inari stuff. So the Inari Archon, Inari Incubi, and the Incarnate itself also all went up in points, which is, I think it's kind of weird that the Inari Incubi went up in cost and the Inari Archon, seeing as I don't think we literally ever saw him run. But okay, they went up a little bit. But overall, Eldar is alive. They did not get nuked, which is good. They didn't need to be nuked. They just needed targeted changes for the Inari detachment specifically. Great job, GW. I love it. Astra Militarum. Bulgrins went down. Oh, interesting. So we might see the return of 18 Bulgrin, which is very cool. The Death Corps of Krieg, the big blobs went up. Very good, because those things are very frustrating. Death Riders went down. Very good, because they are not very strong. Lehman Russ Battle Tank down by 10 points. Up by 10 points. Fine. Taurux up by 10 points. Yes, Tauruxes are dirt cheap, so that's good. Tempestus Aquilans got a little bit cheaper. And since they changed it where that you can't do the since it's no longer a 3-inch deep strike, I think it's much better that I think the Tempest Aquilans are a much fairer unit, so that's reasonable. And Ursula Creed went up by 20, which is also very reasonable. I think your overall strategy here, maybe we start seeing the 18 Bulgrin back and less of the Death Corps Krieg squads. So I'm not sure. I think that seems like a reasonable thought process though. Thank goodness the Black Templars got some freaking love. We got some freaking love. Points just went down, which they needed. I don't know if this is enough to really make Black Templars, super excited, but at least you got something this time. Alias 2002 says, were there any changes for normal Aldari? Not particularly. It was really just Inari. Blood Angels got massive changes. I might be going back to the Blood Angels, guys. Not that I left Blood Angels because they were bad. I didn't. I just got super excited about Orcs, but I'm really excited to run different builds with Blood Angels now. Astaroth down by 10 points. Good. Ball Predator down by 10 points. Bizarre, because that thing was already amazing. Mephiston went down by 15 points. Okay, whatever. I'll take it. I cannot believe Dante went down by 10 points. That's ludicrous to me. Death Company Dreadnought went down by 20. It probably needs to go down by another 40 before we take it, but whatever, that's fine. It exists. Death Company Marines, no change. Death Company Marines with bolt rifles, no change. I don't care if the Death Company Marines with bolt rifles didn't get any change, because in all reality, it doesn't matter what points those things are at. You're still never taking them, unless they're like 10 points for a unit, which obvious. DC with jump packs, they went down by 10 points. I don't think that's enough, but it's a good start. Lamarte's went down by 10 points. Once again, a good start. Maybe it's worth it to run Lamarte's and 10 now. Maybe. I'll do some play testing. I'm not sure. Sanguinary Guard went down by a lot more than I thought they would. They needed to go down. I don't know if they need to go down that much. I can't believe the 3-man squad went down by 20. That's a lot of points. Like, that's a lot. 110 for 3 Sangard is I'll let you know. I'm probably going to be running 2 3-mans and a 6-man with Dante now, just so everyone's clear. Sanguinary Priest went down by 15. Good, he desperately needed to. What he really needs is to be able to freaking attach to our Blade Guard vets. That's what he needs. But anyway, he went down by 15. Cool. So Blood Angels got some cool changes. I'm probably going to run something similar to my Bloody Road, the thing that I've been running with all my tank spam, and just add more melee into it now. But maybe something will be different as I experiment. I'm excited about it. Chaos Demons, Nurglings went up. And as I Lost Lane has said in the comments, if you check the Demons Index, that they also gained a 5 invuln, which is bonkers. Wow. Blood Legion, the Slaughterthirst went down in cost. And Shadow Legion, thank goodness, Fade to Darkness went up by 15 points. It desperately needed to go up in points, and so did Leaping Shadows. If you guys don't know, Fade to Darkness, that's the thing that would allow that Bloodthirster to punch you, kill something, and go back into reserves. It was 10 points. What the heck, right? So now, all right, now it's much more reasonably costed, or maybe it was 15 points. And then our Leaping Shadows, which is the thing that gives the 9-inch scout move, also went up. Those enhancements are great, and they needed to be, they needed it. Kozer's asking me a question. He is saying, let me read it here. You think you can bring back a Liberator Assault Group version of Burn the World Blood Angels? What was Burn the World Blood Angels, man? Was that just like three Fiend Ball Predators? Bro, listen, my Bloody Road runs double Ball Predators. I am not opposed to running 3 of those things. I absolutely adore them. Chaos Knights, no changes. You're getting a Codex, so just chill. Your Codex is coming really soon. Chaos Space Marines got some changes. Chaos Lord with Jump Pack went down. I don't think there's any place where you ever still take him, but he went down. That's nice. Master Possessions went down by 10. Cool. Dark Apostle went down by 10. That is the Chaplain version for Chaos, if I'm not mistaken. Thelgor Beastman went down. I would like to see one Chad out there. If you're watching this and you're a Chaos Space Marines player, do me a favor. Run one freaking Thelgor unit. I would like to see a Thelgor Beastman squad on the table. I don't think it's good. Coming in from reserves turn 1 is interesting. And at 70 points, it's not necessarily bad, man. I think running a squad could be useful now. Trader Enforcer went down. Not that I think you take him anyway. And all the enhancements stayed the same. So the points are the big differences here. The big differences were the dramatic rules changes to Vastor, the Disco Lord. I think that is a much bigger deal. Thelgor Beastman at 70 might be interesting, though. But that might actually be interesting. Dark Angels, no points changes. I think you guys are very happy that there's no points changes because the Lion did not go up in cost, even with his crazy buffs. So I think you're very excited about that. Death Guard, the only changes to them is the Nurglings for their one Demons detachment. This is a shame. Death Guard is way too cheap right now. So, oh well, it is what it is. Death Watch, exactly the same, totally fair, makes sense to me. Drukari got a few buffs, which is nice. Venom went down by 5 points. A Ravager went down by 10. A Raider went down by 5. And Mandrakes went down. Why did Mandrakes do it? I mean, I'm not disputing Drukari could use a little aid. It's just kind of bizarre that it's just kind of bizarre to me that those are the units that went down. I don't know. Elden Lean is hanging out now. And he's saying, missed the Blood Angel part. What do you think about foot DC with Captain at 230? They get scout, hit reroll, sustained. I think it sucks, bro. They only get scout if they're on foot, and then you have just like on foot infantry running around the battlefield, which just doesn't sound good to me. I could be wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm excited for you to prove me wrong. Felix, hey, Cooper's in the chat. Everybody, we love Cooper. What's up, man? Thank you for that heads up. Yeah, they did remove the rapid ingress 6 inches on shrouds, which is a thing, I suppose. It's not really a thing that matters, but it's a thing. But you're right, they did change that, and that would be in the errata. So you guys can, when you're checking out the erratas for all the indexes, you can check it out there. Emperor's Children kind of got punched really hard in the left testicle. Got to be honest with you, like, bah, bah, bah. Sorry, I hit my microphone when I did that. Headphones check, what up? But yeah, they are a little bit sore. That Demon Prince of Slanesh with Wings went up by 20 points. Totally fair, because that thing is amazing. Fulgrim went down by 20. I do actually think Fulgrim is a lot better than people are saying that he is. I think he just isn't good in Cautery, and everyone thinks that you have to run Cautery. I don't think you have to run Cautery. Now, that's just my opinion. I think Fulgrim as a rapid ingress to advance and shoot and charge model is actually very, very interesting. I understand his base is massive. I'm aware of those things. With 20 points, though, at 365, he's fascinating to me personally. Lucius the Eternal went up by 10. Noise Marines went up by 10. Good and good, because Noise Marines are bonkers. And then they got a enhancement. I forgot which one Pledge of Unholy Fortune does, but it went up in cost, which is cool. Genes to the Cults are exactly the same. Adelins went down. These are the Motorcycle Boys, went down by 5. That's cool. Grey Knights got some love to their Terminators, which I like that, because I like to see Terminators on the table. That's good. Imperial Agents got 0 changes, because they're the most OP army in the game, which is great. Let's see. Prime Hillian says the DC detachment is finally usable. I think in the technical term of it, yes, the DC detachment is now usable for Blood Angels. It's still really bad, but it's usable. I think you're right. I'm going to agree with you on that. Imperial Knights, no changes. They're getting a codex soon. Leagues of Votan, no changes. Makes sense. Leagues of Votan are a solid place. This one, all right. Okay, let's take a quick moment. Here. Josh Roberts, since he took over the balanced Dataslate job for Games Workshop, has dramatically improved the game, and I appreciate his service. I think he's really good at his job, so I'm going to start this with some nice little praise. Josh Roberts, you're really good at your job, and I appreciate you putting the game in the most balanced state we've ever had. I also believe it is very clear Necrons are your favorite army. I think that is very obvious. I cannot for the life of me understand the concept of giving Wraiths yet another buff. It's kind of wild to me. Okay, that's fine. Doomstalker went down by 5 points. Totally fine. Wraiths got yet another points cut. That blows my freaking mind. Deathmark's going down is totally fine. I think that's very reasonable. Illuminor Seraz going down, I think, is very odd. He's extremely powerful. Locust Destroyers going up by 5 for a solo model, totally reasonable, because that's just kind of bonkers. Like, why wouldn't you start the game with 3 units that cost 35 points? Like, so that's good. Plasmancer going down, totally fair. Scorpec Lord going up. That one's interesting. I know Scorpec Lords are good, but I didn't expect that. Now, the Technomancer went down by 5 points. So the Wraiths, they desperately want everyone to run 18 Wraiths that just can't get killed by anything, because they're saying, hey, Canoptic Court is the way. You're going to run a Technomancer in 3 6-mans of Wraiths. That's what you're going to do. Those units are now officially 300 points each, and that is brutally powerful. So we're right back to it. Canoptic Court is back on the menus. It's a big problem. Figure out how you're going to deal with it. I think that's what it is. So once again, Josh Roberts, I love your service. I think you make the game much better by being a part of it. Bro, come on, bro. Favoritism here. All right, anyway. That's it. So Necrons. Orcs. I hear a lot of dooming about orcs. And if you're dooming about orcs, you're wrong. There's nothing to doom about orcs. Now, I will say all the points buffs matter 0. It makes no difference. And the points nerfs do hurt a little bit, but I don't think it makes that big a difference. So the Big Beck with Chuck Stat Gun went up by 10 points. Basically, it just means you're never going to take him. Boom Decker Snack went. All of the buggies all went down, and not a single one of it changes the game at all, because you're still not taking any of these buggies. The 20-man boys squad went up by 10, which is fair. I mean, a 20-man squad of boys is pretty abusive. That does hurt Green Tide, which hurts because I think that just hurts a little bit. Defcopters going down. Man, you just really want me to run Defcopters, don't you? I like Defcopters, so I think I might have to figure out how I'm going to run my Defcopters now. 80 points for a unit of Defcopters is pretty freaking cheap, man. A 10-man unit of Flash Gits went up in cost. This is just going to hurt tactical players because I think you're just do 5-mans in Warhorde. The Ludas went up, which is just going to hurt, lesser play detachments. It doesn't affect Warhorde at all. Truck went up by 5 points. Probably reasonable. Tank Busters went up by 5 points, which I think is ludicrous. People who think Tank Busters are super, super good, I have some mathematics to show you. 3 damage to a Vindicator on average when you use your once per game ability is not good. And Zodgrod went up. But we're not seeing Zodgrod, so that's just bizarre for me. So these changes are bizarre. Ultimately, they don't change much of anything. Like, my list is basically exactly the same. So Orcs are still in a good place. They're still super strong. No problems if you're playing Warhorde. If you're not playing Warhorde, you're probably frustrated, and I think I understand. I think I understand why. All right. Space Marines. Aggressors went down by 20 points. I think that's cool because aggressors are way overcosted at this point. I don't know if they're cheap enough to use, but that makes me want to look at them, which is a cool thing. Captain with Jump Pack goes down by 10 points. Blood Angels, for whatever reason. All right, man, Blood Angels are the way. Can we play the Angelic Host now? Because you could do the reactive move leading 6 Sanguinary Guard with them. Maybe. I think it's cool. Heavy Intercessors, Hellblaster Squad, and Marnie's Calgar all went down. There's an Unforgiven list I've been running, which is cool. That might like that. Vanguard Vets went back down, which I think is cool. Maybe there's a reason to bring 5-mans in Blood Angels now. Maybe. Rabute Gulliman went down by 25. I think he's way too cheap, but that's okay. Space Wolves are the same, but Space Wolves Codex, seeing as we have the MFM for them now. Now we have the MFM, so we have official points for Space Wolves Codex. Space Wolves look great, man. Wolfen is a little more expensive. That's totally fair. Thunderwolf in a 6-man, totally a little more expensive. These head takers, oh my gosh, 6 head takers is so good. I like how they did these points, though. They only went down in points if you're not taking the wolf, the hunting wolves with them to get the bonus unit. So I like that. I think that's a really cool way that they did this. So yeah, I like it. Head takers are really, really strong. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to look at Space Wolves. I want to play Space Wolves. So I haven't gotten the models yet, but as I do, I'm going to be building some stuff out for them. Banner and Blade is saying Sword Brother and Crusaders are back. Maybe it was only a 10-point buff. I'm not sure if that's enough to make it back, but I am excited to see some people try to make it work again, for sure. Tau Empire, they got a few points nerfs with a huge detachment, with a huge army roll buff. So I think that's probably pretty dang fair. Because Tau, honestly, were so cheap anyway. You can't make them even cheaper. So I think the roll buff is going to be enough, and I'm really excited to see how they build that out. Thousand Suns, we already have those points. Tyrannids, this one kind of blew me away. I liked some of the points buffs. Hive Guard are cheaper. Screamer Killer is cheaper. I do really enjoy that. But the Hive Tyrants going down by 30 freaking points is insane. Hive Tyrants and the Winged Hive Tyrant going down by 30 points is bonkers. I think that Tyrannid players are going to be really happy, especially when we get to the detachment. I'll go through the detachment, trust me. And then we got the Psychophage going up by 15, but he also got a huge ability buff. So I think that's cool. So Tyrannid players should be very happy. World Eaters, no differences. And that's the points. Guys, what are your thoughts? What do you think is the biggest winners here? Personally, I think it's very clear that both Necrons and Blood Angels players are going to be very, very happy. I think overall, no one kind of got screwed at all, really. I mean, Orc players, if you're not playing Warhorde, kind of got a little bit screwed, but honestly, Warhorde is basically still amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think there were any really big losers here. I think this was just a really good rules balance and a really good points balance. I think Necrons maybe got a little too much. Dark Angels, yeah. Vagrant with Dark Angels, that Lion buff was huge. That was really, really big. And they did get a new detachment. I'll do a video on the detachments as well, but I'll have to do that later. because I'm gonna have to go like now so I can make my coaching call. So with that, guys, I love you. I appreciate all of your attention. If you wouldn't mind sharing the video with your friends, thank you for participating. I'll be back with tactics for the new detachments, everything for you. But I gotta run because I do have a job to do. So everyone, have a freaking awesome day. Happy crumping. Bye bye.